So excited about this. Evie Ladin from the West Coast, a fabulous clogger and old-time banjo player, is going to be joining us and teaching a body percussion class, which I am just stoked about. And she'll be our first, and then next week we'll do the same thing. I'll be with you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then on Friday, we'll have our second guest artist, a fabulous tap dancer and one of the founders of the Twin Cities Tap Festival, Kalina Miller. And then our third guest artist and our final guest artist of the series will be another one of my favorites, Dara Carr, who is out in New York. And she is an incredible Irish step dancer and modern dancer, and she has a really incredible troupe. And has written all sorts of really interesting work on Irish dancing. So this week we have body percussion, next week we have tap, week after we have Irish, and I'm going to just keep on going here with the Connemara step and we'll see where we end up. And over on the stepcollective.com, where I have the homegrown sessions page where dancers have been sharing, professional dancers have been sharing steps. Evie has a brand new tutorial over there as well, a really cool flat footing combo. So I haven't sent that out to the mailing list, so if you're watching this, you are the first to know. I'm in normal clothes today. I've even got normal shoes on, no heel. So this is my proof that you can dance. It's going to be a little harder. I'm going to have to bend my knees a little more to get that heel touching the ground. It's going to be a little bit harder, but we'll do it anyways. Okay, so last week we were working on this combination with the Connemara step where we start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 2, dee-da-dee-da-da, dee-da-dee-da-da. So I'm just going to get straight to it today, and we'll start off with the Connemara step as a warm-up. We're going to keep on with Colin Farrell. This time I actually have a track lined up that we'll use. So let's just start with our heels and let's go ahead and, I had it lined up. Let's go ahead and start with just the heels and then follow me. And we will add some stamps here and there. So I know most of you are watching after the fact these days. And that is great. So, it's better for you. You can fast forward and rewind then too. Let's see, we want day 111 is what we're looking at for, if we go to Colin Farrell fiddle. He's not the actor Colin Farrell, obviously. He's the fiddler. And go to his YouTube station. This is day 111. Oh, and my phone. Oh, that's why it's not lined up. I have the wrong phone. Here we go. Now it's lined up. Okay. So we're just gonna, we have half speed, which can be, we're gonna go back and forth between half speed and full speed. almost over. We'll let the track finish. Okay. Woo. All right, so let's see. Last week we were doing 1, 2. Sorry for the bouncing. I don't have something to put under this. Can I put this underneath? Okay. Last week we had. We'll just go through the thing we did last week.
Yes.
Same speed. 1, 1, 1, double, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Now double tap. 2. We're stamping on the 2 right now. Now double tap to get to the 3. Now double tap to get to the 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Double stamp to get to the 1. Double. Double. 3. Double. Double. We're back to 1. Okay, so I'll let you take that and play with that more if you want to. There are 2 ways to do it. You could go 1, 2, or sorry, you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. You could do 4 of each, or you could do the double stamp on the 3rd time. Does that make sense? I'm going to let you feel it out for yourself. I'd say maybe do 4 of each, and then on the 5th. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you could stamp on the 4th time or the 5th time. So it could be 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So every 4 times, or you could. Oh, I'm confusing myself. Just stamp on the 4th time every time. Okay, now the new technique this week is going to be going from 1 to 3. So I mentioned last week that the most common way to do the Connemara step is by stamping on the 3. So the kind of way to get into that, you have a couple ways. There's if you want to like decide to do the Connemara step stamping on a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or 4, you can just count 1, 2, 3, ba ba da ba da da, and start with the stamp there. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3. And then you're on, right? 1, 2, 3. Or you can actually start with the heels. 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 3. Which means that you're actually starting on the 4. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Which is why it's such a subtle difference, but when you're stamping on the 3 versus the 4, it's a totally different musical experience. Because when you're stamping on the 3, you're starting the whole phrase before the last musical phrase has ended. So the dancing phrase begins, the last musical phrase is ending, so it creates this kind of like rolling momentum in a way. Whereas when you're starting on the 1 and ending on the 4 with the music, you're really like closing up each, or you're following each segment with the music, and it feels very different. But let's go ahead and play with the 3 to the 1. So, and 1 and 2, 3, and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1. We want to get to the 1 from there. And 1 and 2 and 3, and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and Okay, so there's a couple ways to do this, and how are we going to do it? And 1 and 2 and 3, and 1 and 2 and 3, and 1, da 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 da. Let's do it to music, and I'm gonna figure it out. I thought I had it figured out, and apparently I don't. Well, that's the simplest way to do it. I'll do that again. And 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3. Pause. 1, these are all the different options. 5, 6, 7, 8. That's really nice. Let's try that again. Let's do 4 of each this time. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, so I said we'd do 4. Let's do 4 this time. 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4. Here we go. I really like that. Okay, let's play with that for now. It seems like almost too simple, but sometimes the simplicity is really lovely. It's nice to, one thing that I sometimes get caught up in is having too many beats. Like there's a hornpipe step that I have that goes like this. And I was trying to, Anna Colleton, the baron player that I have this project with, we are working on syncing up and kind of like playing what each other are playing. And I realized, oh, I'm just playing da 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 da. It's literally beat, 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 beat with nothing different. But visually it's different, which makes it interesting. Whereas for Anna, it's not an interesting rhythm necessarily unless she really starts to like dig into the sounds of each move. Maybe. So it's really nice sometimes to actually pause and leave some space, which is what we're doing here. And a 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and a 2 and 3. Okay? Dee da dee da da da. 1 and a 2 and 3. Dee da dee da da da. Da 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 da. Okay, let's find out how to go from the 1 to the 3 now. So if we're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and a 1 and 2, 3. Exact same thing if we want it to be. Let's do it this way first, and then let's finish up the class today by finding an alternative way to go from the 1 to the 3. Because essentially all we're doing is if we had no music, all we would hear is that we're just skipping a beat and starting again. When we go from the 3, we skip the 4 and we start on the 1. And when we go from the 1, we skip the 2 and we start on the 3. So without the structure of the music, it's exactly the same thing over and over and over again, just shifting back and forth between these two spaces. But with the music, we hear that we're actually in a 1 and a 3. So let's try this. So we're gonna go, we'll start with the 1. 1 and a 2 and 3, 2. We'll do 4 of them. Promise this time. I think I promised 4. 4 and a 4 and 4. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 2. Oh, 4, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 3. Whew, okay. Do you get that? I think I get it. Let's try it to music. 4 of each. Let's start on the 1. 2, here we go. Oh, nope. 2, 3, here we go. Here we go. 2, 3, here we go to switch. Nope, I missed it. But does that make sense? That makes sense to me, I think. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3 and 4. We'll have to figure out how the feet work out with that. I'll be honest with you, I'm making this up today. I have another way of doing the 1s and the 3s, but this came out, so let's roll with it. Happy mistakes. I'm learning something new. 1, 2, starting on the 1. 2, now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1 and 2. And 3, and 4. helpful to write it out, break it down, figure out what's happening intellectually, try it in your feet, get the feet and the brain moving together, and then it's also good to just dance and do it and feel it. And both ways are kind of equally boggling, but when we're working with like complexities like this, for me at least, it takes a moment to like integrate it and really be able to understand it, if that makes sense. So how are we doing on time? Oh, I've only been live for 16 minutes. These classes are getting more and more succinct, but I think that's a good thing. I think that means we're getting somewhere. Okay, so now we have for playing with the Connemara step, we've got the 1 to the 2. And we also did the 1 to the 4. We did 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 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 2 and... Okay, do you know what I'm going to do for the end of this week, I think, is probably create a video with each of these broken down. Or not broken down, but dance, so that you can have something to practice with. Okay. I think let's leave it at that. I'm going to do the step of the day over on Instagram now, and I will do something that's related to this, but different, something we're not doing here. So if you want extra, an add-on, head over to the Step Collective on Instagram and see what's there today. I'm going to think about that. So I'm going to call it a day. So thank you all for tuning in. I see we have a few folks who have rejoined us this week. And take a look in the email. We've got a really cool body percussion special guest on Friday. So the email will be coming out this evening this afternoon with all that info. So everybody have a great day and take care, and I will see you tomorrow.